All right, everyone, good evening. We are going to kick off our live coverage of our first alert weather day. Excuse me, and across the area, pardon the warnings on the screen there, aside from them, you see in the dark green, we have a flood watch tonight. This is through Saturday morning. I'll be back here throughout the evening, and meteorologist David Ernst will be out in the weather studio watching warnings, and we'll be first alerting you to any updates later on tonight. This flood watch continues on through Saturday morning, and even though the amounts are only going to be about a half inch to 3/4 of an inch for most, it's going to exacerbate flooding conditions over on the Little Wolf River and the Wolf River. As we head into the 8 o'clock hour tonight, you now see that the tornado watch has been expanded northward, more toward the Wausau and Antigo areas along with Shawano. We're seeing these severe thunderstorms kind of blossom a little bit further north than we expected as well. And you'll see in the Storm Prediction Center outlook today, we're up toward the Wausau area. We had that level 3 enhanced risk, not up toward Shawano and Antigo. So these are more northeastward developing than we were thinking. The risks for overnight tonight are mainly going to be for very heavy rain and flooding conditions, as we've seen over the last couple of days. Large hail and high winds are still a probability. And as we head into tonight, the tornado threat will begin to decrease, but in these isolated storms, it's still going to be a little bit more on the high side. So we'll look at the last few hours, and you notice over in a lot of these red polygons, we have tornado warnings out across the parts of this line and quite a bit outside the original tornado watch box. So they have not added that in on this last run, but now we'll jump to the first alert ViperMax radar. This is where we're going to start tracking this storm later on this evening. Pardon that the phone's ringing in the background. But we're taking a look at the first alert ViperMax radar, and over toward Wausau, we do have a confirmed tornado on the ground there. That's getting ready to move into portions, excuse me, up toward parts of Forest County, and we'll have to watch that carefully. As you see that little hook echo. I'm waiting on meteorologist David Ernst to get through his first weather hit before I give you a track on this, because he may be even using this at the same time I am. We'll back you up over the last few hours. In fact, there he is now. We're getting closer, a closer zoom in to this tornado warning, and that is moving northeast. I'll give you the warning text from the National Weather Service. Moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. So that is getting ready to move up toward the Antigo area over US 45. And he's moving further southward, where we're seeing some development down toward the Hartford area. We had a supercell that was severe warned, but it has since kind of dissipated. It's hit that more stable air near the lakeside. Winds are out of the south today, so if you're on the lakeside, that is helping you out considerably. It's providing a wall of stable air, and thus it's actually continuing to make things a little bit favorable for you for tonight. If you're over in the Fox Valley, we're continuing to watch these storms make their way west to east, area wide. And then they're going to be making their way a little bit toward the Lake Michigan area. Well, actually, hang on, I'll turn this down real fast. But you see with that, what you see right now on the first alert ViperMax radar, we're actually going to zoom this back out to our home view real fast. And we'll put this back on the reflectivity. There is a tornado warning now just south and west of the area. We'll take a look at that warning as well. And we'll pull this one up. So if you're south of the Stevens Point area toward Wautoma, that's a tornado warning in the Adams County area, 5:30 tonight. That's when that expires. Now that is only a radar indicated tornado, but we're going to be looking at possibly some rotation in that storm. So we'll navigate this over to where we can get the storm relative velocity. Sorry, it's actually pretty tough to see the mouse on this thing because I'm controlling it at the end of the controlling this from another computer. But we'll We'll actually go back to the other radar set real fast and show you where this is. And I'll get the data for that warning. That is moving northeast at 30 miles per hour. So we're looking at the Green Bay radar site. That's moving toward Interstate 39, and it looks quite weak relative to what a supercell would look like. But I'm going to pull up the velocity, or actually I'm going to try to pull the velocity up on this and switch it over to show you where that rotation is most likely sitting. And it's right near Wisconsin 80, near, I'm definitely going to butcher the name of this, Necedah, and heading toward Monroe Center, Armenia, and just north of Sprague. And we'll flip this over to the correlation coefficient. No debris being sighted, but I want to take that up, and you'll hear the printer going off in the background likely a lot tonight. We'll take this up toward where we had that confirmed tornado, and you see that green dropout. This green dropout that you see south of Easton, that's where we have that confirmed tornado that's been seen since Wausau. I'll back this up a few frames to where you can likely see it. And we'll follow the debris dot right there north of Highway 29, and it continues to move northward. Looks like we have another warning that's been issued just north of this one, and with that black outline, likely indicating we could have another confirmation. We'll flip this back over to the First Alert ViperMax radar, and we're back to the home view. Again, that tornado warning in Adams County expiring at 5:30, and there we go. We'll zoom this back over, get this out of the way for you, get this warning text out of the way, and zoom back in to this other tornado warning. So that's north of Antigo, heading toward Highway 45, and mostly just going to clip parts of the area, most notably just parts of Langlade County, northwestern Langlade County. That expires at 5:30 tonight. It'll be moving northeast at around the same speed, 25 to 30 miles per hour. And again, you'll be hearing that printer a lot tonight, and we'll go ahead and get this warning text off the screen so we can zoom in and show you this correlation coefficient a little bit in a higher resolution. Again, confirmed tornado on the ground south of Johnson. That is going to be moving northeast at, again, we'll take a look at this, 35 miles per hour. Let's see if the warning text is updated on this any. And this was 2 minutes ago they updated the text to say, actually, no, wait, that's the Langley County storm. So we'll move this to the Marathon County storm. That's moving up toward the Johnson area. It looks like a new frame's come in. And there it is again. We have right here that little ball showing up. That's where we have debris on the correlation, and that means stuff that's not rain is showing up on the radar scan. If you're in Johnson, take shelter immediately. There has been confirmation of a tornado down. You need to be in shelter, basement or central room on the lowest level away from windows. Helmets on, blankets to protect yourself from the possible debris or sharp objects that may come flying in, because these will be flying pretty quickly given the winds that we're looking at with this storm. We'll show you the velocity signature real fast to give you an idea. Keep in mind, I'm drawing this from well away from the original computer, so the mouse is a little bit glitchy. And there's the rotation just south of Johnson, and it looks like we have a second circulation developing. We've got to watch this one carefully just west of Burnham Wood and moving toward the Aniwa area. So we have possibly two areas of circulation to look at here. You have the one that's been confirmed, and also the one just north of Hatley. We'll throw the the correlation coefficient back over the top. That one does not have any dropout on it, but the one just south of Johnson still does. If you're in Hogarty, Snell, Elmhurst, you need to take shelter as this still confirmed tornado is moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. And let's go ahead and back out and it put a new track on it, and I'm glad to say it looks like it's a bit more messy, so the debris signature is not as telling. So we'll take this to the base velocity, and you can see where that signature is really tightened up. We'll track that from the warned part of the circulation just south of Johnson, moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. And we'll actually have to move this up again to get 33, but not a lot of populated areas in this cone. Antigo at 535, so we'll try to zoom in and get a few other smaller towns included. So if you're in, I know I'm going to butcher these names, so I apologize. If you're in the Neva area, if you're over toward White Lake, or if you live anywhere on Wisconsin 64, you need to be in shelter as well. Zooming in a little further, Sherry Junction, Bryant, Deerbrook, Neva Center, Neva Corners, and in the Antigo area near Polar, all of you need to be in shelter at this point. Over toward the southern part of Johnson, we still have that confirmed tornado, and it looks like they have now warned on the other circulation. Let's actually see. That is for Shawano County in Wisconsin, and we have the wall coming down right now, so we're likely getting ready to do some wall-to-wall coverage. I'll be told soon if we're going to be doing that.
We're going to be bumping over to coverage out here. We got to go wall-to-wall.
And here we go, man. You hear meteorologist David Ernst confirming we'll have to go to a wall-to-wall coverage, so I will have to step away from this, and we will be on air, and we will still be streaming online and on our 24/7 weather channel. We'll just transition this out into the weather studio, and we will be with you on this morning in just a second. But I will tell you the speed of this storm, of this second tornado warning, is moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. So this storm is moving a little bit faster. We'll see you on air in just a second, and we'll continue this on our 24/7 channel from the weather.
All right, First Alert meteorologist David Ernst here, and we are breaking in with continuous coverage. We have a tornado warning that has just been issued in northern parts of Shawano County right now. So let's go ahead and we'll take a closer look. If you were watching on our digital weather channel, meteorologist Nolan Kane was tracking this storm and was talking about this particular circulation right as it started to spin up. So you'll notice the two black outlines. Originally there was one tornado warning here in the just to the north of Wausau. This was in Marathon County, and we started to see a secondary circulation a little bit farther to the east. Now you can't really pick it up too well. You can see a subtle little hook right here, just getting into western parts of Shawano County, but when you take a look at the velocity product, it stands out a little bit better. So this is the severe thunderstorm, and the tornado would be right there where you see the red and the green right next to each other. That's going to indicate where you've got that tight rotation. So it's a pretty significant circulation here. Just getting into, again, this is western parts of Shawano County, northwestern Shawano County. This is Highway 29 heading out towards the Wausau area, and this is Highway 45. So if you're in northwestern Shawano County, anywhere along that Highway 45 corridor there, you will want to get into that safe place. We'll zoom in and take a closer look at this particular circulation, sample it for you, and we'll start tracking this storm out. We are seeing, again, a rather tight circulation would indicate that this has spun up, and there very well could be a tornado here somewhere just to the west of Burnhamwood. If you're in Burnhamwood or on the north side of town, you want to get into that safe place. So that is going to be a basement if you have one available. If there is no basement available, then it's the lowest level, an interior room. You want to put as many walls between you and the outside of the home. When we're looking at this radar product, the red is going to indicate winds that are going away from the radar. So this is the Green Bay radar, so the wind is going to the west on the north side of this, and we see that bright green. That's the wind coming back towards the radar. So that circulation is what we're picking up on, and that would indicate that we could certainly have a tornado with that. Now, we'll check and see. This is going to be the debris tracking product. It's good that we don't see anything on there right now. If you start getting into the greens and the blues, if you see just a little dot of that, that would mean that there is a tornado on the ground and it is picking debris up and lofting that into the sky. So I don't see that signature, and that's a good sign, but that is a very tight circulation that we were seeing just a second ago. So we'll put it back on the imagery here, and we'll go ahead and sample that out and just see how strong those winds are. Again, this is northwestern Shawano County. This storm is tracking to the northeast, so if you are in Shawano, this storm is not headed towards you, it's to your west, and will end up pushing into eastern Langlade County and perhaps down the line getting into western parts of Menominee County in Wisconsin. But we do have 43 miles an hour circulation or wind speed on one side, 39 on the other, so it's roughly 80 miles an hour across this circulation. So this is going to be the most pressing storm, the most concerning storm we've got in the area. In fact, the tornado watch initially had cut off in Shawano County right along Highway 29, and given some of these storms holding together just in the last half an hour or so, the Storm Prediction Center went ahead and extended that watch farther to the north, including a few counties that had not been in any severe weather alerts. So we'll continue to monitor this particular storm. I do want to go ahead and zoom back out and just get a sampling of everything else across the area as the line of storms is just starting to arrive here in central and northeastern Wisconsin. Now, around Green Bay, Appleton, Fox Valley, all is quiet for the time being. In fact, the storms have had a very tough go of holding together, getting in. The activity you're seeing here, Green Bay and into Manitowoc County, earlier in the afternoon when those storms are down towards the Dells, there was actually a tornado warning on that. So the atmosphere is getting a little more stable in eastern Wisconsin. We'll see if that trend holds through the rest of the evening. Looking farther to the south, there is a complex of severe weather, Dells and down towards the Madison area. All of that is going to be pushing towards the northeast. We'll see how that holds together. If it follows a similar trend, hopefully it does, we may see that start to weaken as it gets up towards Fond du Lac and Green Lake County. But for right now, a dangerous situation there, and the wide view here shows the perspective. It is far northern parts of Shawano County that are included in that tornado warning. Just an overview here, when you see these colored boxes on the screen, the white outlines, those are going to be your severe thunderstorm warnings, and the black outlines on the screen here, those are going to be your tornado warnings. So we have two different tornado warned storms, or at least two different parts of kind of the same storm there into northern Shawano County and getting into Langlade County. So that's where we're going to be focusing on here for the most part in this coverage. Obviously, we will keep an eye on the activity coming in from the south, but the most pressing storm in our area here to the north of Wittenberg, right around the Burnham Wood area. If there is a tornado on the ground, it would be just on the west side of Burnham Wood, tracking towards the north. Meteorologist Nolan Kane, do you have a timeline on that? Do we have a storm speed? I have not read the outline or the warning text to see how fast that is tracking. Do you have an update?
All right, David, I'm actually taking a look at that tornado warning with, excuse me, storm speed right now, and that tornado in northeastern Marathon County is moving northeast at 30 miles per hour, and I have the velocity product pulled up. That circulation is crossing US 45, splitting Aniwa and Burnham Wood, moving up toward Phlox and Mattoon. If you're in these areas, even outside of the warning, I'm actually going to zoom out and give you a track on this real fast. Again, tracking northeast at 30 miles per hour, and we'll move the map a little bit more northeast to give you the idea of it here. We'll track it from US 45 in the center of the circulation at around 30 miles per hour. It's kind of back down. Not a lot of populated areas in this track, and to go at 5:36 tonight. Well, I'll go ahead and zoom in once again on a few of these areas that will be later on in the path. So let's get some of these smaller towns in line here. So if you're out toward Antigo, Wisconsin 64, you're going to be in the line for it here near the Neva area. And we'll go ahead and further in on US 64 to give you an idea. So not a lot of towns out this way, a lot of smaller areas, but we'll give you a quicker look here across the rest of the region. We have storms beginning to fire up along the line ahead of a cold front. Now, the good thing about these firing up well to the south of us is that's going to provide a little bit of a dam and kind of cut off the unstable air from reaching us or reaching us as much. That's the good thing. So these storms are going to be a little bit more limited in their energy, but they're still enough to use to cause these severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings. We'll zoom back in real fast on this storm in parts of Langlade County near US 45. And we'll switch it back over to the base velocity. You still have that circulation. Actually, well, we're going to be zooming in a bit much on it. And we'll zoom back out near Burnham Wood. Check the correlation coefficient or the debris. Now you see a lot of pink. I know this may look like a bunch of rainfall, but it's not. When we look at the correlation coefficient, we're looking to see if there's any debris inside of this storm, something that's not rain. That would show up as a green dot or even a purple or gray if it was a heavier debris. We do not see that, but there still is a circulation to watch just north of Burnham Wood. Meteorologist David Ernst, you've got an update on this?
Yeah, I do want to point out the coloring of the box here. When you see the magenta, that purple shade, that would indicate that this is a confirmed tornado. So even though we're not seeing the debris on radar, we have had spotters confirm a tornado with that one, as well as when the storm was a little bit farther back towards the Mosinee area, just on the north side of Wausau. In fact, the way that signature looked with the wind velocity that we were just looking at, this easternmost storm has kind of taken over, and the warning was actually dropped into Marathon County. We still continue with a tornadic circulation here north of Anago, where you see the red box. That would be the tornado warning. The product that I have pulled up on screen right now is hail, and just to indicate that there really isn't too much hail with this storm. The threat is the tornado with that storm coming through. A very, very tight velocity couplet here, that circulation. Anytime you see bright red and the bright greens next to each other would certainly indicate some tight rotation, and that signature has held together for several scans now, so likely that there is still a tornado on the ground. It would have just crossed Highway 45. So again, circulation here just to the north and at this point northeast of Burnham Wood. This is going to be moving through the rest of northern Shawano County and then eventually is going to be pushing into Menominee County, or might just clip a little bit of far eastern Langlade County. So Anago here for some perspective. So the storm is on a northeasterly track. So we would see this crossing Highway 47 here as you're getting into Menominee County, and then down the line, tornado would likely pass somewhere between Anago and White Lake along Highway 64, closer to White Lake, I would say, given that northeasterly trajectory. But again, just to reiterate, anytime you see the bright red and the bright green next to each other, a very tight circulation, so tornado likely on the ground. Anybody that is along Highway 47 here and near US 45 needs to be getting into that safe shelter. It's starting to move out of Shawano County, but we'll be pushing into areas of western Menominee County in Wisconsin and far southeastern Langlade County, or far southern Langlade County, just to the south of Anago. So not a threat to Anago proper, but anyone south of there in Langlade County, you'll want to get indoors, or if you have someone who's outside right now, make sure they are getting indoors. Stay away from windows and wait this storm out as it moves through. Again, your safe spot is going to be a basement if it's available, lowest level of your home. If you don't have that basement available, an interior room, you want to put as many walls between you and the outside of your house as you can, as this tornado would be more than capable of lifting trees and creating more damage as that goes into the house. The structure, the frame of the house can actually help to keep you safe. And another note, when you're getting into that safe place, if you have a bicycle helmet, a football helmet, baseball helmet, anything like that, go ahead and put that on as you're heading into that safe place, because a lot of the serious injuries that we see during severe weather tornadoes involve head trauma. So you can have that extra layer of protection if you've got that bike helmet or something like that with you when you go to seek shelter into that safe place. So this is going to be crossing again. This is the county line, so it's going to be crossing over from far northern parts of Shawano County and right where kind of Langlade and Menominee come together, and anybody along Highway 47 at this point to the south of Anago and in Menominee County here, you definitely want to get into that safe place and allow this storm to pass overhead. As we do have a confirmation, at least as of 10 or 15 minutes ago, a storm spotter did see a tornado with this storm back when it was, I would say, still back into Marathon County when the warning first came out. But even ahead of that warning being issued, we started to see that circulation take over, and this has become the more dominant storm. You really can't see anything on the velocity product a little bit farther back to the west. We've talked about this one for a while. I do want to head northward just a little bit. I know Antigo, it's to the north of you here into, I didn't click the right button, into northern parts of Langlade County. And this particular storm is not going to be a threat into the Antigo area, but we do have a tornado warning here just to the north of Antigo, and this one as well. If there is a tornado with that, it would be crossing 45 north of Antigo here in the next likely 10 minutes or so. So if you are watching us in Langlade County, if you're in Antigo right now, the tornado warned storm is likely to pass to your south and then another one passing to your north. So Antigo proper, we should be okay, but you get into some of those areas to the north there along Highway 45, definitely a dangerous situation, strong thunderstorm coming through with at least some weak rotation still showing up. We're a little farther away from the radar here, so anytime that storm is, quite a ways away from the radar, you don't sample it close to the ground. The radar beam is a little higher up in the clouds, and so you're picking up on some of the broader circulation, but you may not get the clearest picture of what's going on right at the ground. So you do have to treat these storms seriously, even though you don't see real tight circulation with that one like we do with the storm here. Coming out of Shawano County and again passing kind of right into that area where eastern Langlade County and western Menominee County all come together. That's going to be where this storm is passing. It is basically on top of Highway 47. Something to note, anytime you're watching live coverage, radar coverage, there's a little bit of a delay from when the radar can sample it to when that data gets analyzed, and then when we receive the data, and when these storms are moving at 40, 45, 50 miles per hour, they can cover quite a bit of time in even that short delay. So when you're seeing it on the radar, the storm has already been in that area. It is continuing to move at that speed. So crossing Highway 47 right now and going to be just clipping here western parts of Menominee County and then down the line getting into southern Langlade County. It will cross Highway 64 here probably within the next 10 to 15 minutes. So take the storm seriously. We have had a spotter confirm a tornado with this when it was back into Marathon County. I do see that the tornado warning has been dropped a little farther north. The white outline here would indicate that it was continued on as a severe thunderstorm warning, likely for at least quarter-size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. But earlier in the day, as these storms were first developing, we were getting warnings coming out for 2-inch size hail, baseball-size hail, so some very big hail out of these thunderstorms earlier on in the afternoon. We're not seeing the indications of that as much right now, but still very serious weather coming through the area. It is to the northwest of the Fox Valley right now. Not seeing anything too concerning around the Green Bay, Appleton, Oshkosh areas, just some garden variety rain showers along Highway 43 there to the south of Green Bay. So a pair of severe thunderstorm warnings to the north, one including Rhinelander, and the new one that was issued does get into Forest County. So passing through some more rural area first before it would perhaps approach Crandon and getting just to the north of there, and then farther to the south along this line here south of Wausau, keeping an eye on a couple other tornado warned storms that will take a very similar track to the one we're seeing now, maybe passing just to the south. So if you know anybody that's in the Stevens Point area, this storm likely passing very near to Stevens Point here and would then be on its way if it held together into Shawano County. But obviously we do have a line of storms out ahead of that, and sometimes that can work to help stabilize the atmosphere. Meteorologist Lone Kane, anything to add?
Yep, and the good thing is I read the National Weather Service text as of 5:17 p.m. on that tornado warning over in parts of Shawano counties and Langlade counties that it has lifted, but again, the tornado warning continues until 5:45 this evening. It is still flashing purple, but we have confirmed now from the National Weather Service that that severe thunderstorm is capable of producing a tornado, but it has sped up a little bit. We're up to 40 miles per hour on the track of this storm. The circulation is still visible, albeit quite a bit weaker. It's going to be going through some rural area, crossing over Wisconsin 64, and if it holds together or if it cycles, it kind of returns, it comes back to the circulation it had earlier where it was a bit stronger, like it had over toward the Aniwa area and Johnson. If it holds together up toward Lakewood, it would arrive to you at 6:16. I'll give you a zoom in and see if we can get any more smaller communities in this that could be in the tracks. If you're in Phlox, in fact, it's likely gone past Phlox at this point, moving toward the White Lake area and the west to east, Wisconsin 64. Antigo, that storm's still going to be a bit north of you. Actually, that storm's going to be south of you. And if you're over toward Neva, you are experiencing quite a bit of rainfall there at the moment, quite a bit of heavy rain and likely some hail to the north of Aniwa and Phlox. We'll zoom back out and give us a little bit better of a look at this storm. It's starting to get a bit of interference to the south, which in this instance is a good thing. When you have interference going into the inflow or more rain going into it, that's actually going to help break up the circulation a little bit, but it's still showing up ever so slightly. It is a lot weaker than it was. We'll get a close zoom in on it here near Mattoon, moving toward Phlox. Earlier, this was considerably stronger. In fact, I'm going to take this back a couple of frames just to show you kind of just what this was like earlier. Now, back toward Weston, it was still a pretty good structure, and we'll take this one by one. That second circulation developed, took away the first one near Highway 45, and for a couple minutes it was pretty decent and had a tornado down, but now with the interference of rain coming in from the south, it is starting to kind of lose its structure a little bit. Meteorologist David Ernst, you got more?
Yeah, that's a good sign that we're seeing there. We'll keep a close eye on that one just in case things can kind of re-intensify. A little farther to the north, this storm did have a tornado warning earlier. That tornadic circulation had loosened somewhat. There's still some broad rotation. It's still a strong thunderstorm. Does have a severe warning on it, and this particular severe thunderstorm warning as it comes out of Langlade County and gets into Forest County. We are looking at the potential for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. There may be some small hail, but indications are it's under quarter size, so a severe warning for hail is quarter size hail, but because we have the winds at 60 miles per hour, we do get that warning issued. Maybe some pea or dime size hail out of that. Heading into the Crandon area here in the not too distant future, next 5 or 10 minutes, it will be into Crandon and then moving through more rural parts of Forest County on its way into Florence County. Armstrong Creek there, into to far western parts of Marinette. Perhaps if the storm turns a little bit to the right, you may find yourself in the core of that storm with those damaging winds possible. But the core where you're seeing the brighter shades there of that purple, that red, going to likely take more of a centerline track from what I've drawn, so heading through Crandon and then getting into Florence County with time. Each one, this is a 45-mile track, so basically each segment here is 15 minutes. So next 15 minutes it will clear Crandon. Half an hour you're here into more rural parts of Forest County. Within 45 minutes that gets you up towards the Armstrong Creek area, or it's just starting to nose into southwestern Florence County, and then from there it continues pushing on towards upper Michigan if it can hold together. Now the atmosphere as it gets farther north is going to be a little bit more stable than what it was coming into, but we have seen things modify somewhat. When we first got into this event, the tornado watch was cut off at Highway 29, and that has now been extended farther north as we started to see these circulations hold together. I do want to reset here. We'll zoom the map back out and just take the wide view, and we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning now issued that does encompass much more of Shawano County. It does include the same areas that were under the tornado warning, but now a little farther to the south. So this would include places like Wittenberg and Tigerton right on the edge of that. It basically cuts off, it looks like, just to the west of Shawano. The warning itself does. Now, it's still, well, let me zoom it out just a little bit, went in a little bit too tight there. So what I tend to look for when you get these severe thunderstorm warnings come out for strong winds, notice the bowing segment where the middle part of this line of storms is kind of pushing out ahead of the rest. That's likely to indicate some strong winds pressing out, and we do have some heavy rainfall. There probably is a little bit of hail in the mix there, just about to come into Shawano County. So Highway 45 coming up here from the south and moving through, and this is going to be right along that corridor, right along where 29 and 45 come together there in western Shawano County. So you're looking at likely the potential for damaging wind gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour with this. Sometimes you can see little circulations kind of develop where the line bends in, and we already had a tornado confirmed with this, and that tornado warning has now been extended on into include Menominee County as well as the eastern parts of Langlade County. So that circulation is holding together well enough that the National Weather Service did go ahead and extend that tornado warning. So let's zoom back in here. We'll take a closer look at that circulation and see how things are faring. And you can still see that, again, green and red next to each other. Sometimes it's a little bit brighter than others, indicating the stronger winds, but you still see that tight circulation. So anytime you see that, it is concerning, and that would be the reason why we have our tornado warning extended. So tornado at this point likely has already crossed 47 or very near Highway 47 right now, going to clip just this northwestern corner of rural parts of Menominee County. If you're in the Neopet area, storm is passing to your north, no concern there. But in northwestern parts of Menominee County, and then anybody, say, around the White Lake area and just south of there along Highway 64 southward into east central parts of Langlade County, that's where this storm is headed. We do have evident circulation here. It has had this signature on it for, well, let's see, it's going on 5:30 right now, and I would say we were, for about the last 20 minutes or so, that this has really held together. At times, we did have a confirmation of a tornado on the ground with that storm, and it will continue pressing towards the northeast, moving at around 40 miles per hour right now. So if you are in the path of this, anyone in northwestern Menominee County, south of Polar here along Highway 64 near the White Lake area and southward, now is the time to get into that safe place and put as many walls between you and the outside of your home as you can. We'll go ahead and sample the circulation here and just take a closer look at what the winds are doing. Now, keep in mind that we're quite a ways away from the radar. We're probably sampling this up around 5,000 to 6,000 feet, so not right at the ground, but definitely picking up on a pretty significant circulation. You've got 32-mile-an-hour wind in one direction, and we'll go ahead, clear that off, and sample the green here. Not as significant as it was, so we're not seeing the circulation as strong as it was earlier. We had 80 miles an hour across that circulation at one time, so perhaps weakening some, but oftentimes these storms will cycle, and so you might see that circulation kind of loosen up or weaken, and then it will tighten back up, and you can see the tornado redevelop. So there's definitely a circulation that we are seeing and have been seeing on radar, and this will be passing into southern Langlade County here, east of Antigo proper, so no worries of this particular storm cell getting into the Antigo area, but definitely going to be one to watch there a little bit farther to the east. And farther south of this, again, as we just detailed earlier, severe thunderstorm warning was issued. The storm right now, the core of it is coming out of Marathon County and will track right through central parts of Shawano County. It looks like the core of the strongest winds there would likely head right along Highway 29. So anybody that is in the Wittenberg area, the core of the storm is moving in as we speak. And we'll continue to bring the potential for those 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and you could also see some hail out of this storm as well. So we'll take a closer look here into Shawano County. So right along Highway 29 here, that's the core of this storm, going to be heading towards the Shawano area. Let's see, at last check, what are our winds doing here? So moving to the east at 50 miles per hour, so this one is a little bit faster. The circulation, the tornado warned storm is tracking more northeast, and this one more so moving almost due west to east. So we'll zoom the map out here and put a storm track on this. So I would be looking at, the bulging part of this storm where you start to see the middle bow out. That's usually where you get the strongest winds coming through. And we will go ahead and put your track on here, again, moving to the east at around 50 miles per hour. So we'll start out ahead of the storm and move it to the east. So 50 miles per hour would put it, we'll stop it at 47, close enough here. So you're looking at it getting into the Shawano area a little after 6 o'clock, so about a half an hour from right now. Again, each one of these lines that you see would represent 15 minutes of time. So in the next 15 minutes, it will have passed through Wittenberg within a half an hour, getting into Shawano. 45 minutes down the line, we're over towards Angelica, although the core of the storm likely passes north of you there in Angelica, and then Pulaski, and just to the north of Pulaski there into parts of Oconto County, where we would anticipate this storm heading if it holds together. But as we have seen this evening, some of the storms have had a difficult time maintaining that intensity as they get into eastern Wisconsin. The air here is a little bit more stable compared to where these storms were forming and initiating. We'll go ahead and reset the view here and take a wider look, and situation has not changed. Severe thunderstorm warning there into Shawano County. We have the tornado warning that we first broke in for that will be passing into Langlade County. And then farther south, we'll also be keeping an eye on a complex of storms coming up from the south. But let's take a closer look here. So a number of severe thunderstorm warnings around the Madison area and southward. We'll watch them as they lift out to the north, but again, we've seen several storms as they start getting into Marquette, Green Lake counties, Fond du Lac County, have just been fizzling. Farther to the northeast, up around Green Bay and the lakeshore areas, we have some very stable lake air pushing to the west. I think that's helping to kind of inhibit the severe potential of these storms, but some very heavy rainfall ongoing right now with those storms in southern Wisconsin, and heavy rain where the storms are moving through, but largely our more populated areas around Green Bay, the Fox Cities, still dry. You obviously can see these storms out to the west, but the activity that is in line to make it into Oshkosh or Appleton, Green Bay is on the weaker side. So in the clear for the time being. Obviously that can change, and when it does, we will be right here to keep you informed and alerted to the presence of those dangerous storms. But for now, it is kind of, I would say, bracketing, if you will, the Fox Valley and most of eastern Wisconsin with severe weather, a complex of severe storms ongoing in southern Wisconsin, Madison, and those will head up towards the Milwaukee area. And then we do see here into Shawano County and northward, getting into Langlade County now, passing just east of Anago. So anyone along Highway 64 that's east of Anago over towards the White Lake area, that is going to be where we see that tornado warning part of the storm go. Heavy rainfall, likely some quarter-size hail. We are seeing the brighter colors here moving just to the south of Wittenberg, but even in Wittenberg, probably getting some small hail right now out of that storm, with the worst of it likely passing just to the south there into Shawano County. Farther to the north, tornado warning is ongoing. Let me go ahead and move the map over into that direction, and we'll see how that circulation is holding together. It can be difficult to pick it out on the radar imagery where you're looking at just the rainfall, and that's why we do like to use that velocity product as it helps to show where those turning winds are. So that's what I'm going to pop up right here. And it continues to look a little less defined than it did, say, 15, 20, 30 minutes ago when we were first coming on the air. But even in the wide view, you can see the bright red and a little bit of green. So that circulation is still holding together and is, as we talked about, kind of right on the triple point there where Langlade, Menominee County and Shawano County all come together. That is the county line right there, and that's exactly where that tornado is, where those three counties all meet. So down the line here, passing towards White Lake or maybe just west of White Lake, this storm is moving to the northeast. I'll go ahead and we'll zoom in and take a little closer sampling of those wind speeds just to see how strong they are on the bright side of that. But anytime you get the red and the green right next to each other would indicate that strong circulation. This storm did have a confirmed tornado with it earlier in the evening, and it could certainly we could certainly see another one. I do want to pop up our debris detector product here. What this samples is what the radar beam is seeing. When the radar sees everything that's all uniform and the same, in this case it would be heavy rainfall, that's where you get these deeper shades of purple and pink. When it starts running into things that are oddly shaped and don't kind of fit in with everything else, that's where you start to see the blues and the greens, and anytime you would see just a ball of that, that would be your tornado debris. I'm not seeing that signature. That's a good sign, but it doesn't mean that there's no tornado on the ground, so you do need to take this storm seriously if you are in the path of it, and at this point, the path of it is southern parts of Langlade County here along Highway 64. So if you're east of Anago and along Highway 64, get into that safe place. As we have talked about, we have our coverage streaming on our WBAY First Alert weather app. You can find this on our digital weather channel, 2-2. And when you have it the app loaded up, you can actually take this coverage with you into your safe place. We also have the streaming coverage available on WBAY.com. And if you are in the path of these storms when it is safe to do so, please send in those damage pictures to us and let us know what happened. We don't know that without your reports coming in. So it's WBAY.com/photos. You can go and submit those pictures, give us a better idea of what has happened, what has transpired, and that will just help us push those warnings further down the line when we can get confirmation of exactly what these storms are doing. But anytime you see the bright red and the green next to each other, it's a very dangerous situation where we have had a history of a tornado on the ground with this storm. Regardless of whether there is one right now, you're not going to be able to see it. Likely that this is going to be rain wrapped. You see all the heavy rainfall here, likely some hail where you're getting into those pink colors. So you're not going to see this coming if you're in the path of it, which again, anybody here along Highway 64, southern Langlade County, get into your safe place. It's a basement if you have that available. If there is no basement available, lowest level of your home, you want to get into an interior room. Preferably, something without windows. If you can find a bathroom, a closet, if you have a two-story home, a closet under a staircase is a very safe place to seek shelter as these storms are rolling through. If you're using a bathroom, you can get into the bathtub and cover yourself up. Use pillows, cushions, anything like that. If anyone has a bicycle or a sports helmet, put that on when you're going into your safe place, as that just adds an extra layer of protection should there be any debris flying. And the reason that I always say as many walls between you and the outside is those walls as well can help stop that tornado debris, or even if it's just wind driven. If there's 60, 70 mile per hour winds that are straight line, that can still do the same type of damage as an EF0 tornado. So you have to take these storms seriously as they are coming through. And again, we have continued to see this circulation on radar for at least the last 20 or 30 minutes. Earlier in the evening into Wausau County, and I believe again when it was in Shawano County, we did have confirmation that there was a tornado on the ground. So let's go ahead and take a look at those wind speeds once again. We'll sample those. Looking at 50 miles per hour on one end of the spectrum and 13 there to the south, although let me clear those off. Might be able to get a little bit better look at some of the stronger wind closer to the core of that circulation. 20, so you're still, in that 50, 60 mile per hour range. So there's still a decent circulation right here that we continue to keep a very close eye on. Not seeing anything that was too concerning from a lofted debris standpoint, but these weak tornadoes may not always push that high enough up into the atmosphere for the radar to see. So even though we're not getting a radar confirmation at this point, there was a tornado on the ground with this storm. With all the heavy rain in the area, you're not going to see that tornado coming. So get into the safe place, wait the storm out, let it pass overhead, and then come back out when it is safe to do so. Actually, we'll go ahead and reset the coverage here, and we'll just take a wide view across the area, see if anything has changed locally, and still notice the bowing out of that storm there in western Shawano County, heading right down Highway 29 in Shawano County, damaging wind gusts possible with that 60 plus miles per hour, as well as some quarter-size hail. To the south, still quiet around the Fox Valley, Fond du Lac, Oshkosh, Appleton, Green Bay, not really seeing much of anything right now. We are going to have the storms move in, but again, things have had a tough go of it. We do have some steady rainfall in Waupaca County, one of the harder hit areas, and that'll be moving right into Outagamie County. So that is the Wolf River, Shiocton, New London, farther downstream, unfortunately getting more rainfall. But all things considered, the rain is on the lighter side compared to other areas. We have looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning here, but still well south of our area. This is Fond du Lac County. That's where our coverage area cuts off. So this would be down into southern parts of Dodge County. If that storm held together, you would expect it to perhaps reemerge there into into Sheboygan County with time. But the storms have, again, had a very tough go of getting into eastern Wisconsin. I think we are starting to see some of that lake air, that lake-enhanced air pushing to the east and helping to stabilize the atmosphere, which is a good sign. As these strong thunderstorms are encountering that more stable air, they just aren't able to sustain themselves and hold together. But we do still have some dangerous weather to be concerned with. Tornado warning ongoing there. Tornado would be lifting likely into southern Langlade County at this point. And then we also have a severe thunderstorm into central Shawano County core. That storm looks like it's about overhead in Wittenberg right now, and will be moving to the east with time. So we'll keep a close eye on all of this activity. Farther to the north, we'll take a look and see. We have seen the warning dropped for that storm cell as it was going through Forest County. That at one point did have a tornado warning on it. So again, as these storms are lifting into some more stable air, we're starting to see things weaken. The circulation weakened enough that the tornado warning for it was not extended, and now we have seen that severe thunderstorm warning dropped off as well. Still a strong thunderstorm around Crandon, very heavy rainfall. There probably is some small hail, maybe some pea or dime size hail, 30, 40 mile per hour wind gusts going to be associated with that. But the two most dangerous and pressing storms in our area are into Shawano and Langlade County right now. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning and a tornado warning for those two storms. So those are going to be the ones that we focus on the most. Now, as this storm continues pushing towards the northeast, it will impact areas very near White Lake and perhaps down the line come back out into Oconto County. Somewhere between Mountain and Lakewood would be where I would anticipate that storm to come if it holds together. Still continuing to see that circulation. So that's what we look for when we're spotting the tornado on radar, if you will, is we're looking for that red and the green right next to each other. At times that circulation has been a little bit stronger, a little more intense than others. Right now, still seeing some very bright colors, and this would be tracking again right up towards the White Lake area. I'll move the map just a little bit. We'll put a storm track on here and just time this out. For those of you that are in eastern Langlade County, the warning right now does not include Oconto County, but I would say anywhere from Lakewood southward, start getting prepared. You're out ahead of the storm right now. If you know someone in this area that is out, it's a very nice day out ahead of the storms, trying to soak that in. Get them inside as this storm approaches. You don't want to waste time and wait till the last minute. There's some very heavy rainfall with these storms, and it definitely is going to be a situation where you just can't see things coming. So it's moving to the northeast at around 40, 45 miles per hour. So moving into Langlade and the White Lake areas here, likely within the next 15 minutes or so. Down the line, Townsend and getting into Lakewood, it would be about a half an hour or so from right now. And then if it holds together within the next 45 minutes, crossing into parts of Marinette County, northern Marinette County. So anybody in the immediate path of this, eastern Langlade County, if you're along Highway 64, north or south, near the White Lake area, get into your safe place and wait this storm out. Let it pass overhead. I see we're talking about power outages. I see the map over there, so I'll throw it over to meteorologist Nolan Kane for an update on the power outage situation.
And David, we are seeing more power outages from this storm. Now you see two certain areas. We have Waupaca and Outagamie counties, both partnered up. Those are flood-related power outages, both 900 and 800 each, 1,700 of the 6,700. 5,000 of these are storm-related power outages in our westernmost counties in the region, from Oneida, Lincoln, and Marathon counties. In fact, Marathon County, where we had that tornado touch down earlier, we're up to 2,000 outages on that map right now. So as we head through the remainder of the evening, we're still going to see some of those storms contain those high winds, and even some lighter gusty winds will be enough to bring down trees tonight because of the saturated ground. But once we get through tonight and into tomorrow morning, it is going to start calming down. But right now, as we head back over to the First Alert ViperMax radar, we'll change this back over and get you a better look on this storm near Wittenberg. It had a pretty decent hail core on it about a couple frames ago, but as it moves over Wittenberg, that core is starting to drop out a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and take this back up to the storm near that did pass through the Johnson area and passing south of Antigo. I want to go ahead and go back in on the velocity here. Let's zoom this out again. So you see that the velocity is not particularly impressive, although actually, yes, it's starting to pick up a little bit more near the White Lake area. See where that little bit of an enhancement, this little increase in pink. In fact, okay, this circulation is starting to really tighten up again now. We have higher wind speeds in this. Let's take a look at the correlation coefficient. There's no debris showing up right now, but that last radar scan the circulation really tightened up. We'll take a look at the storm relative velocity. David, the storm that I am looking at near the White Lake area, the circulation is starting to really tighten up now. We're starting to see some more pinks and even a couple of tan pixels showing up on the inflow of this storm. So I'm actually going to go ahead and we'll go ahead and try to take a look at what the wind speeds are on this. And we'll see at one of these is up to 67 miles per hour and the other one 28. So that's a 95 mile per hour gate to gate shear again. So we're starting to see some of those higher numbers return to the radar site, and we'll look at White Lake. You see that inflow notch, that's going to be moving in. That's where the winds are starting to increase again, heading toward White Lake. So if you are in White Lake right now, seek shelter immediately. We are starting to see that circulation tighten back up again as it heads northeast toward Wisconsin 64. David?
Yeah, just to the south of that circulation, a new tornado warning issued into northern parts of Shawano County once again. Same areas that were impacted by the initial tornado that Nolan was just talking about. The circulation here is not as well defined, but again, you see those reds and the greens next to each other. So this is right near the Mattoon area and is going to take a very similar track into northern Shawano County, Menominee. This one might be just a little bit farther to the east, but it is still going to be right in the same areas that we just had. And as Nolan was mentioning, that circulation is starting to tighten back up again, and would certainly expect that as that storm intensifies, it may be producing a new tornado right now. We will continue to monitor the potential for debris with that, but that is the most concerning storm in the area right now. As we continue to watch all of this strong activity coming on through. You can notice numerous severe thunderstorm tornado warnings getting into parts of northern Illinois, severe weather in southern Wisconsin. We're not as active in northeastern parts of the state, but we are continuing to see the potential for a dangerous tornado right now. I want to zoom back in, and as we mentioned, you can see the inflow, kind of that notch coming in. It's not as well defined on this particular view, but when you go back to the radar with the velocity here, showing those wind speeds, unmistakable. The bright red, the bright green next to each other. This is very near the White Lake area, right along Highway 64. In fact, as 64 kind of makes that jog to the northeast, heading up towards Langlade, that is exactly where this storm is headed. We very well could have a tornado on the ground. This circulation was looking a little bit looser not too long ago. It has tightened back up, so seeing a rather strong and intense circulation, and then right behind it seeing some broad circulation with another storm and tornado warning here just to the south as well. So very active northern Shawano County, eastern Langlade County. The wind on this one, let's go ahead and sample it for you and see exactly what we're doing from a wind standpoint. Now, earlier on, at times, we were only getting 40, 50 miles per hour. This time, I suspect we will be doing a little bit stronger than that. Yeah, 53 and 20, so you're back up in that 70, 80 mile per hour range for that circulation. So it has certainly tightened back up and strengthened. In the past, we have not sampled any tornado debris, so that's a good sign. But sometimes these tornadoes can form and dissipate in just a matter of a few minutes, and they do have a tendency sometimes to skip along, and so that could be what's happening here, where we've had the tornado confirmed on the ground when it was back into Marathon County. Again, when it got into Shawano County, just to the west of Burnham Wood, had a confirmation, and now the circulation appears to be tightening back up. But when you look at it on the reflectivity product, it doesn't necessarily stand out like it did just even a few minutes ago when Nolan was talking about it, pointed out that inflow notch where you can see those strong winds going into the storm, and then you'll see it wrap around the main updraft. So we're not seeing that here on the reflectivity, but that doesn't mean there's not a tornado with this. So get into that safe place. If you are in White Lake, Langlade, anywhere there in eastern Shawano or eastern Langlade County, this storm is one to take serious. It has strengthened and weakened. We've seen that be the case throughout the evening here. The last, we've been tracking this storm since around 5:10 or so is when we first came on the air. And here once again, it looks like perhaps that circulation is starting to dissipate a little bit, but that can happen as these storms continue to intensify, weaken, intensify, and weaken. You get into that cycle, but you have to take it seriously. We're detecting, upwards of 50, 60 mile per hour winds on one side of that. So damaging wind gusts are going to be a possibility even outside of any tornado. Nolan? And
there's been a couple of reports from that same storm, all in Langley County. In fact, we have two reports. The first one, the Langley Dispatch Center called the National Weather Service offices, where all the reports are coming into, saying a funnel cloud was seen southwest of Elton. So that's one of the smaller towns that we've seen on the radar. You see Phlox, and I'll actually mention that town here in a second. But Elton is down more to the south, and the second report that we saw, or actually we have seen come in, is a call center was reporting a funnel cloud going northeast of Phlox. So it is likely referring to the circulation here. Luckily, we do not see debris on the correlation coefficient or our debris tracker, so that is a good sign. But the fact that a funnel cloud was seen with this storm as it continues to produce a small circulation and had tightened up briefly, still indicating that still has enough steam to potentially produce a tornado at any time. As David mentioned, these supercell storms, these severe storms are cycling, and thus they'll weaken, kind of churn back up again, and weaken once again. As you see now, that's right to the northwest of Phlox for the strongest of the hail. We'll put that over. See the hail size. You see some 3/4 inch down to the southeast of Anawa. I was actually told I was pronouncing that wrong a minute ago. So Anawa residents, I am sorry if I butchered the name. Over toward Phlox and Batoon to the west of town, you see some more half-inch hail. And over toward Wisconsin 64, you're picking up a bit more hail as well. Reflectivity still picking up some of the heavier rain and hail, and we'll put back over the the velocity. Now the rotation has weakened quite a bit from what it had been about 5 to 10 minutes ago, but we are still keeping that tornado warning going on that storm because of the circulation, and at times it can turn back up again. David?
To update you on a situation down in southern parts of the area, we do have some new warnings that have been issued. These are severe thunderstorm warnings, but now into Fond du Lac and Sheboygan counties. So we're starting to see some of that storm activity coming up from the south earlier on. This was down into southern Dodge County, and it has held together now as it is making its way into far southeastern parts of Fond du Lac County and into Sheboygan County. It's near the Kewaskum area. We'll zoom in and take a closer look at this. This storm is capable of producing quarter-size hail as well as damaging wind gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour. And even on this one, you can see perhaps a little bit of some inflow here. Doesn't indicate that there has to be a tornado. It just is an indicator of a very strong thunderstorm, a robust and strong updraft that is helping to maintain this storm. And again, we do have the potential for some larger hail with this, maybe quarter size. We're kind of in between radars here, and so it doesn't show up too well on our product, but definitely picking up on that signature there in Kewaskum. Heavy rainfall going to accompany this storm, and again, wind gusts upwards of 60 miles per hour as this storm makes its way into parts of Fond du Lac County, down the line into southwestern Sheboygan County. It's not moving as quickly as some of the others. This one is only moving to the northeast at around 20 miles per hour was the last update, so it's not as speedy as some of the other storms have been. We'll go ahead and I'll move the map down just a little bit here. We'll put a storm track on this to show you which way. Actually, let's go this way. So we'll continue to see the heavy rain following this storm up. So we're just getting into it here. Let's go ahead then and put a storm track on this and alert you to where this storm is headed. We'll get out in front of it here a little bit. Northeast at around 20 miles per hour. So on the forecast track towards the Plymouth area here within the next half an hour. Likely that it will avoid Sheboygan proper, passing just to the west of town. But again, into Plymouth and anyone there into central or south central parts of Sheboygan County, wait the storm out, let it pass overhead as we'll continue to keep an eye on this one, producing quarter-size hail possibly, as well as some gusty winds, 60 miles per hour. Given the heavy rains that we have sustained and experienced over the last week, you may not see the wind need to be as strong to topple trees. The soil will loosen up because of how saturated it is. So you know, if it had been totally dry, it might take a 60 or 70 mile an hour to knock a particular tree over. Well, now that might happen at 40 or 50 miles per hour just because of the waterlogged soil. So very heavy rainfall here along Highway 45 and to the east there in eastern parts of Fond du Lac County. We're now starting to see the heaviest rainfall getting into Sheboygan County, with the potential also existing there for some quarter-size hail and those wind gusts upwards of 60 miles per hour. So we'll keep an eye on that storm. We still have our tornado warning ongoing here into Langlade County. Go ahead and since we haven't talked about that one recently, we'll zoom it on back in and take a look at that storm. And we won't be warning on it right this second, but there's another batch of tornado warning and severe warning storms there to the south of Wausau, and those as well will be pushing into the area. Now, as they start running into some rain-cooled air from this first line of storms, they may have a tendency to lose some of their intensity, but nonetheless, they are going to be heading in this direction. So heavy rainfall ongoing here, and we'll go ahead and turn the velocity on. So what we're looking for are those reds and the greens right next to each other, and actually we've got two circulations, one just following the other. I will say that around the White Lake area, this definitely does look a little broader, a little farther apart than what we were seeing earlier, so that's a sign the storm may be weakening once again. And then you also see here to the south of that particular storm cell, another that doesn't look too strong of a circulation, but another circulation is basically just following the same track, and that actually did warrant a new tornado warning maybe 10-15 minutes ago that popped up as this storm kind of just started to spin right to the south of the one we had been warning you about for the last well, let's see, almost an hour at this point. It was a little after 5 o'clock that we started to see that circulation really pick up steam as it was near the Burnhamwood area, just west of Burnhamwood there in Shawano County. We'll go ahead. I want to take a closer look farther south. Severe thunderstorm warning is ongoing. That's the white outline that you see moving into Shawano County. Don't see anything jumping out from a velocity standpoint. In fact, does not look to be nearly as intense from a rain standpoint as it did. We'll go ahead and back the map out just a little bit. Yeah, it looks like that heavy rain has kind of just outpaced the warning, and we're seeing some lighter rain showers there in the Shawano area, but it's likely that storm has weakened considerably. We know that there is some much more stable air in eastern Wisconsin. There's a lake breeze that has been pushing inland. We were in the 70s in Green Bay, and as I was coming on the air at 5 o'clock, the temperature dropped to 66. And we'd also seen some mid and upper 70s in parts of the Fox Valley that started to drop down as well. So as these storms are moving into some more stable air, that's a good thing, as they do have a tendency to weaken, and I would certainly say that is the case with what we're seeing here in Shawano, as that storm looked rather formidable as it was coming in to Shawano County around the Wittenberg area. We noticed a bowing segment in that storm that would indicate those stronger winds pushing out ahead of the main storm line. But as it has raced eastward, we do have the heavy rainfall ongoing, some moderate rain around the Clintonville area, right up through Shawano, and this will be getting into Green Bay and Pulaski here with time. But that is all it is at this point, some gusty winds and some rainfall. Notice that the core of this storm, as it's getting to the eastern edge of this warning, we're not seeing that warning get extended. So that is a good sign that this storm is starting to weaken. We'll continue to keep a close eye on the activity coming out of Langlade County. We'll see if that circulation perhaps tightens back up again. We may see the warning extended into Oconto County, but for right now, at least at last check, we were not seeing things as tight and as well formed as they were earlier on in the afternoon or evening. And another quick check here. Again, we're kind of heading in a positive direction. At least we were. Now we're starting to see a little bright spot there on that most recent scan right around the Langlade area. So I would still say anyone along Highway 64 here, you do want to get into that safe place. We're right at the tail end of that tornado warning, and given how the circulation looks right now, even though we've seen times of it loosening up, I would not be surprised if we see that warning get extended, and you'd be looking at it pretty much from Mountain right up towards the Lakewood area is where this storm would be headed. So along that Highway 32 corridor and to the west there in Oconto County, that is going to be where you would want to be seeking shelter, and as well as in far eastern parts of Langlade County along Highway 47. Going to see this storm passing right overhead, or likely is right overhead as we speak. The circulation farther to the south is not looking nearly as well defined as it did earlier. But nonetheless, we continue to see a pair of stronger circulations here into Langlade County, or I guess technically that might be in far northwestern Menominee County still, but taking a very similar track. So if the storm has passed through, you do need to wait out the next round as it comes on through the area. So dangerous storm here in Langlade County. We have been watching this circulation for the last hour or so as it continues to maintain some level of intensity. At times it looks a little weaker than others, but just as of the last scan, you could definitely see the bright spot kind of pick back up there right around Langlade, where we're sampling some stronger winds. In addition to the threat for tornado and the severe threats that we've outlined, we're also seeing some very heavy rainfall coming through with these storms. Any tornado would be rain wrapped. You wouldn't be able to see it, and unfortunately with the saturated ground that could lead to more flooding. So I'm going to turn it back over to meteorologist Nolan Kane for a little more on that heavy rain that we're experiencing with these storms.
And David, right now we have the 3-hour rainfall estimate showing up on the ViperMax radar. Up toward Highway 64, where we have that tornado warning, we already have areas that are picking up around 1.5 inches of rainfall nearly. In fact, we're almost up to 2 inches south of Antigo. Additional, let's go over toward Wausau, take that amount, 1 inch. And we'll go down to Wittenberg with that stronger storm that moved through. You picked up just about another 0.8 of an inch. Now, these areas do not need the extra rain. There's a lot of flooding already ongoing. And we'll take some more of these over toward Suring. That's picked up some lighter rainfall, or at least we'll try to. Well, looks like we can't. Shawano picking up just a couple of hundredths, and there is now an extension to that tornado warning, likely for that circulation spinning back up toward the White Creek area. We'll zoom back in on this, and we'll get you the latest on that circulation. We'll try to put it back up here. Yep, there it is, just now starting to pick right back up near the Oconto County line. And that's actually, the Menominee and Oconto County line. And that is going to be heading, continuing until 7 o'clock this evening. And I'll get you the information in terms of the actual speed of this storm.
30 miles an hour.
Yep, that one's issued for. Well, thank you. Thank you, David. And we'll get that to the northeast here. And again, you said it was 30 miles per hour?
30, yeah.
Yep, 30 miles per hour to the northeast. And we'll track this from the circulation. It's been off and on in terms of strength, and it's only going up toward the Lakewood area in terms of populated areas over the next hour. If you're in the path of this tornado or tornadic storm, we'll go ahead and zoom in, see if we can get a few more of these smaller towns popping up. If you're near the Townsend area, northeast of White Lake, Mountain, you're not in the warning, but you may as well just go ahead and take cover with this as well. And we'll zoom in a little bit further toward the Townsend area. So not a lot of areas, not a lot of populated areas out here. This is generally moving into some more rural area, more forest covered areas. So if it were to be picking up debris, it'd be more likely some trees, some lighter debris at the moment. But as we flip to the correlation coefficient, I'm glad to say we don't have a ball on the radar. Now, if that were to be the case, you would see more of this bluish and green showing up in a little defined area on the radar. But thankfully, we have not seen that, at least for the last 30 to 45 minutes, as it had been moving closer toward the Johnson area as it was on the ground. We'll flip this back over to reflectivity, and we still see quite a bit of a hail core moving to the west of Lakewood. I'll put that back on. We still have some half-inch to three-quarter inch size hail, so we're nearing a dime to quarter size almost at times. And that is going to continue to move off again to the northeast at 30 miles per hour. So if you're in Lakewood, take cover immediately. Also, if you're in the Townsend area, take cover immediately. This is going to be a potentially tornadic storm. It has shown a history of producing tornadoes, albeit has been a while that it does have a history and is still capable of producing a tornado all on its own right now in front of that cold front. So again, Lakewood is in the path of this. Townsend, that is going to be moving through Oconto County in Wisconsin, as well as parts of Langlade and Menominee counties later on this evening. So it'll be moving up toward the Menominee County area within the next little while. And David, do you have more on?
Yeah, we'll take a wide view here and kind of reset the coverage. If you are in Oshkosh, Appleton, Green Bay, things are looking very good for us. We are not seeing things hold together. That lake breeze has pushed on in and brought some very stable air through, and we just have not seen these storms hold together in any fashion towards Oshkosh or Appleton, Green Bay. Even Fond du Lac, things are looking fairly quiet. It's to the southeast of Fond du Lac at this point where the storms are still maintaining some intensity and taking off. We've seen them track out of Dodge County and essentially just follow this line just on the south side of Highway 151, but take a similar trajectory, just moving again to the northeast. Storms have been pushing at around 20-25 miles per hour, so a little slower here in our southern areas. That can lead to some heavy rainfall. We'll have to keep an eye out for the flooding potential as you start getting into southern parts of Fond du Lac County and into Sheboygan County. Now, in addition to that, quarter-size hail and damaging wind gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour possible with that storm cell there into Shawano County. But again, farther to the north, Oshkosh, Appleton, Green Bay, you might hear a few rumbles of thunder. There's some lighter rain coming in, but not looking at these storms holding on to that intensity like they are a little farther south or a little farther to the north. So we're kind of bracketed by that storm coverage. So let's go ahead and take a closer look back to the north again. It is at this point, even though you still see the warning there for parts of Shawano County and even northwestern Menominee, the storms have moved on from that, and it is presently eastern Langlade County and anywhere into central and northern parts of Oconto County that we are going to be most concerned with this circulation coming through. So on the north side of Mountain, right along Highway 32 up towards the Lakewood area, Townsend, that's where this storm is headed. Get into your safe place if you are in the path of this storm. A lot of heavy rainfall associated with it. It does not stand out on the radar reflectivity, but we have seen that circulation on the radar all afternoon long since about 5 o'clock. We started to see this circulation take over. There was a tornado warning coming out of the Wausau area, and then we saw this storm start to take over, and right now, the circulation is definitely starting to broaden out. We're not seeing the red and the green kind of bright and right next to each other. They're a little bit looser, but this storm has had a history of cycling where it does this and then it kind of tightens back up and re-intensifies and then loosens back up. It has been some time since we've had a spotter report a tornado on the ground with this or a funnel cloud, but there is definitely still a circulation holding together. And farther to the south as well, you can see that same signature, that red and the green right next to each other. So if you're just joining us, whenever we're looking at this particular radar product where you see the red and the green shading, that's what we would use to determine wind speed and direction. The red is always going away from the radar. The green is always coming towards the radar. And so if you see those two right next to each other, means you've got some circulation there. It's coming around in a circular motion. And if it's looking like it does right now, it's a little bit on the broader side, so it's still a very intense thunderstorm. There's probably some quarter-size hail or so with this, and even outside of a tornado, I would expect some damaging winds to accompany it. This is going to be crossing the county line here momentarily, if it has not already, with that circulation. So again, here around the Townsend Lakewood area, that's where the storm is headed. Get into your safe place. A basement is preferred. If you have that basement available, that's where you need to go. If you don't have a basement available, you want to get into the lowest level of a sound structure. Get into an interior room, something without windows if possible. You basically want to put as many walls between you and the outside of your home as you can. This is a heavily forested area, so you get that tornadic circulation could certainly start bringing trees down, especially given the waterlogged, saturated ground. You don't need to see those gusts as high as they otherwise might need to be to cause some tree damage. And so if you have more of the home between you and the outside, you increase the odds of the home structure being able to hold together as any debris might be crashing into it to help keep you and your family safe. We continue to keep a close eye on this, both circulations here. We did have a possible tornado with the first one coming through White Lake, Langlade. That's exactly the same track of this next storm. There's one following right behind it. The circulation is not as intense as it has been with the northernmost storm, but both of them have been able to maintain that circulation, and that's why we continue to see these tornado warnings issued. So it's north central parts of Oconto County. Anybody that is along that Highway 32 corridor, get into that safe place. If you are to the north of Mountain, that is where this storm is headed, and if it holds together, which it has for quite some time, if you have been watching us since the beginning of our coverage, we've been on the air for about an hour, and we have seen that velocity couplet, that signature with the red and the green right next to each other throughout the duration of this tornado warning. Down the line here, it's tracking to the northeast, 30 at times, maybe up to 35 miles per hour. So moving into the Silver Cliff area and western parts of Marinette County is where this storm is headed after this. But for the time being, in the short term, the near term here, Highway 32, Lakewood, Townsend, get into that safe place, wait the storm out. It has continued to maintain that level of circulation. These storms can spin up a tornado very quickly. It might only be on the ground for 1, 2, 3 minutes before it would lift back up, but we have seen instances where that happens, where the tornado kind of just bounces along, and if you're in the path of it, it can do some pretty significant damage, and then it may lift just down the road or something like that, but you have to treat it as though there is a tornado on the ground because this is a very dangerous storm. We'll go ahead and back the map out here, see if there's anything new that has developed farther to the south or anything else that is more concerning. And notice back to the west, all of those warnings have since been dropped. So we're starting to see perhaps this line of storms, it is maintaining some level of intensity, but as it is running into the rain-cooled air, these parts of central Wisconsin have already been worked over by the first batch of rain and storms that we're seeing. And so that may help to weaken the activity coming on through. So that is a good sign that we're starting to see those warnings drop off. Farther to the south, you get into, at this point, it should be just mostly Sheboygan County that is seeing it. The core of this storm has moved on from Fond du Lac County at one point. We did see, and then there is still the warning here around Kewaskum, and perhaps we do have some hail coming out of that. I want to move the map a little farther south and see if we can sample this with the Milwaukee radar. I suspect we're a little closer to Milwaukee than we are the Green Bay radar, and see if we can get a little bit better look at the storm definition here and sample that hail core. But there are two areas of concern that I would say from a hail standpoint that we would be watching. Anywhere you start to see those brighter colors, the purples especially, or on the higher end of the scale, if you start seeing some of the grays and the blacks showing up, that would certainly indicate the presence of hail and likely severe hail. And that was what the warning came out for, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, quarter-size hail. So we'll keep an eye on that potential. Not seeing anything jumping off the map at this point with this storm, but there is still likely the potential for at least nickel size hail or perhaps even a little larger at times, and you do have that gusty wind threat there, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts also possible. And farther to the south, we continue to see heavy rainfall and another intense storm kind of just taking the same track as this. Now, as we're starting to see in central Wisconsin, perhaps that does help to weaken this storm somewhat, as it does kind of encounter that more stable rain-cooled air. But we are going to continue to watch some stronger thunderstorms on into Sheboygan County. And I just saw the green pop up. That was something I was thinking in my head with the slow motion of these storms and the heavy rainfall. Flooding is always a concern. So a new flood warning, that likely a flash flood warning, mostly into Dodge County. It does cut off just south of Fond du Lac, so this is technically not in our coverage area, but anywhere from Beaver Dam southward there into Dodge County, we do have a new flash flood warning. Very heavy rainfall ongoing, and this part of the storm is moving a little slower at only around 20 or 25 miles per hour, whereas we've seen 30 and 40 mile per hour speeds with some of the more northern storms. Let's go ahead and we'll just start zooming the map out here, because I did see the black box showing up there. So that would indicate a tornado warning just on the north and east side of Madison, including the Sun Prairie area. This storm looks, just by the way the box was drawn, that it is probably heading a little bit more due west to east. So that one may not be making an inroads towards our area, but would instead track kind of closer to the interstate there on 94 and 90 heading towards the Milwaukee area. Watching some steady rainfall moving into the Fox Valley. You probably have a few lightning strikes, rumbles of thunder, but all things considered, looking to be a very quiet evening around some of our more populated areas. Unfortunately, we are receiving some steady rainfall. It is definitely not needed. We have the Wolf River both at New London and Shiocton setting new record crests. So the river there on the Wolf River, highest it has ever been since we've been recording things. So very heavy rainfall coming through, and that will continue to be the case. So we'll have to watch out not only for that river flooding, but the ground is very saturated, creeks and streams are elevated, and so that will make the potential for standing water a little bit higher on area roads that we're not able to get that water through the storm drain system and out into those creeks as efficiently because everything is so high up and saturated. So just a reminder, anytime that you're driving around and you see water covering that roadway, don't drive through that. It is a situation where you just don't know the condition of the road underneath all of that moisture, and if there is a bridge there, perhaps it can get washed out. You might see the see the guardrails continuing, but the road surface and everything underneath can be washed right away. So the most intense storm in our area, the one that is the most serious, the most dangerous as we continue to track it, and this storm started coming out of Marathon County and is held together right through Shawano, Menominee, Langlade County. Heavy rainfall to be certain, but we have at times seen our tornadic circulation. Now here again, as I've talked about, it does look a little broader, a little bit looser, and if we continue heading in this direction where that signature is a little bit less defined, you don't see the bright reds and the bright greens, that is a good sign that the storm may be starting to lose some of that structure and its intensity. So we're just around the Lakewood Townsend area here again, right along Highway 32. Still take the storm seriously, still stay in that safe place. If you have moved into it, allow the storm to pass overhead, even though I'm saying that, yes, it looks on radar that the storm is starting to weaken some. It can tighten right back up, and you can see that circulation re-intensify. So we continue to watch that very closely. Nolan, do you have an update or something?
We're currently working on some reports with the Langlade County storm. Coming into our newsroom, do we not have any updates on it? We're still trying to confirm some reports with the Langlade County storm, but Marathon County. I'm sorry, Marathon County. Let me clarify that there. We're still trying to get some reports out of there, but there's been reports with that tornado touchdown of damage. We are trying to confirm that. Roofs have been blown off some structures from that tornado touchdown earlier, and we are working to confirm the number of injuries, if there are any, in that area. And we will get to David here in just a second, but I'm going to give you a look at what this storm is currently looking like. Looks like the hail is starting to come down just a little bit more. The reflectivity is starting to weaken a little bit more. The inflow is getting a bit more interference. So we hope this storm can fall apart. It's been having some rotation signs, some signs of rotation for the last 60 miles and a report of a touchdown at the same time back in Marathon County. So we are working on getting reports out of there. There is reports of damage, and we will be first alerting you to the latest updates on that one. David, do you have any more to go on?
Ringgold is the town that we have seen an emergency response. No firm details on exactly what has transpired, but other than that emergency responders are on the scene and they reached out to the National Weather Service in Green Bay just to get a short-term forecast. This would have been when these tornadoes were back in Marathon County, so it's the same storm that we have been tracking and is now presently moving into parts of Oconto County. But that tornadic circulation actually started all the way back into Marathon County. We actually had one tornado that was confirmed on the ground. And as that storm moved to the north and got past Wausau and Mosinee, we started to see a secondary circulation form, and that is the one that has held together throughout Shawano, Langlade, Menominee, and now into Oconto County. So the Wausau area, Marathon County, is a little outside of our coverage area, so we weren't keeping as close an eye on that storm as it was moving through areas around Wausau and a little bit farther back to the west, but we have gotten reports of report of a tornado on the ground when the storm was there, as it was a confirmed tornado warning, and hearing some signs that there might be some casualties, some injuries, unfortunately, with that storm. So we will be following that and would certainly pass those updates along to you as we get them. We have seen the storm maintain a pretty decent circulation all the way through our area. We still have some very heavy rainfall showing up there in Townsend. The last couple of scans, though, were not as intense, but again, you still see that green and the red right next to each other. So this is a possible tornado that we have seen off and on, where that circulation loosens and tightens, and we've been going through that cycling phase all the way back from when that storm was to the west of Burnhamwood in Shawano County. That was when it first started to really intensify and kind of took over from the likely tornado that did the damage that we were just talking about in Marathon County. This one kind of overtook that one and has stayed at least enough circulation on it that it has kept that warning going. And if it continues to look like this as it starts to near the county line there, getting into Marinette County, approaching Silver Cliff, I would fully expect that warning to get extended the way this signature looks. We've seen it loosen up at times and not look as intense. But nonetheless, it continues to spin. And I do want to point out that when you're looking at this on our reflectivity product, you can't tell that based on just where the rain is. So if you're out ahead of this storm, you're likely not to see what is going on. There's just too much rain out in front of it. So you're not going to see a tornado coming if there is one on the ground, and that's why we urge you just to take the warning seriously, get into the safe place, and simply wait the storm out as it moves through. We have not had a confirmation of any tornadoes with this storm lately, but again, it's going to be very difficult to come by. This storm has been tracking through some fairly rural area. It is producing a lot of heavy rainfall. There's likely some small hail in the mix here, and so very difficult to see a tornado coming until it is literally right on top of you. But anytime you get that red and the green right next to each other, that is a storm that has its act together, and it just continues to hold that circulation very well defined on radar as it has been. And so this would be on track right into parts of Marinette County here, so we'll zoom the map out just a little bit and take a storm track on this. Let me go ahead and recenter things here just so we're not driving that or taking that storm track off the map. So it has, the last storm motion I had on it was about 30 miles per hour, so it seems to be slowing down somewhat compared to how quickly it was moving earlier on, but we'll start just out ahead of that circulation and go around.
It's up to 35.
Up to 35 at last update? All right, well then we'll speed it up just a little bit here. So down the line, let me go ahead and move the cities out of the way here. Or not. There we go. So again, what we're looking at here is that bright red. That's going to be winds going away from the radar. The backside of the circulation is not as well defined, but we've seen that be the case, and then we've seen it re-intensify. So down the line here on the forecast track, every black line you see where these colors change, that's 15 minutes. So within the next 15 minutes to a half an hour, right towards the Silver Cliff area, moving into western parts of Marinette County, if the circulation holds together roughly along the Highway 141 corridor here within about the next 45 to 50 minutes. So that would be Amberg and perhaps up towards Pembine. And this storm has taken a very almost due northeasterly track. So if it follows the center line of this right towards Amberg or just to the north of that within about the next 45 minutes. If you're in Silver Cliff at this point, you got about 15 minutes before that circulation is right overhead. So if you know anybody that has been doing anything or is out and about, give them a call, get them inside, and wait for that storm to move overhead. It has had a fairly well-defined circulation on it for a good portion of the late afternoon and evening. For about the last hour and a half, we have seen that circulation show up on the radar. Now, something we have not seen on the radar is tornado debris showing up. A good sign, but doesn't mean that there's not a tornado in there. These tornadoes the ones that we're talking about that would form out of a storm like this, they're not going to be your violent, intense tornadoes that are on the ground for half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour. Even though we've seen that tornadic circulation showing up on radar, doesn't mean that there's a tornado the entire time. Just means that it could be spun up at any time along that. And so you can see those tornadoes, those weaker ones, kind of just skip along where it's on the ground for a few minutes. It lifts, the storm continues to move, might move 10, 20, 30 miles down the road, and then it will spin up another tornado. And we've definitely seen the storm cycling, where there'll be times where you'll hear us say, okay, well, it looks like that rotation is a little looser, not as well defined, not as tight, and then another scan or two comes in, and all of a sudden it tightens back up, and here we are back into more of a weakening phase as you don't see the green popping up too much. Let me just check and see if we change the radar product here from base velocity to storm relative. And again, starting to see things perhaps move in the right direction. Now, I'd want to see that circulation continue to look less defined for several scans, but a good sign here might be that we are finally starting to see this weaken somewhat. Nonetheless, if you're in anywhere here into western Marinette County, it's still an intense thunderstorm, so you still want to take it seriously, stay away from windows, get to that low point in your house, a basement, or if you have a basement's not available to you, just an interior closet, a bathroom, something like that, where you can just wait this storm out and protect yourself. But the last couple of scans, we have really seen that diminish, so hopefully that is a trend that continues. As we go through time here. We're approaching 6:30 now. We started this coverage a little after 5 o'clock when this particular storm picked up its first tornado warning right as it was moving out of eastern Marathon County and into to western Shawano County. So we've had this one tracked here for a good hour and a half. As it came right out of Marathon County, right through Shawano, Langlade, Menominee, and is now holding together, but perhaps just starting to weaken. You notice out in front of this, we do have some rain-cooled air with all that steady rain activity coming down, so the atmosphere here starting to stabilize itself perhaps. We'll keep a close eye on that one. Also going to be monitoring the storms that you see here from Wausau southward. No warnings on that. But still, very heavy rainfall, likely some gusty winds, perhaps 30, 40 miles per hour. So that one will bear watching. We have had some strong thunderstorms on the south side of our area. And I want to go ahead and take a closer look down at that activity. It was Fond du Lac and Sheboygan counties earlier on. Looks like those warnings have been allowed to expire. Still some very heavy rainfall from the Plymouth area and just towards the south and the east. This would be heading right on into Sheboygan, no warning, but very heavy rainfall, probably some penny-sized, nickel-sized hail in the mix here, where you're seeing the brighter purples and reds would indicate the heavy rain potential and perhaps some hail out of that. And following that storm up, there's still a severe thunderstorm warning to the south. Now, sometimes you can get into that rain-cooled air where this storm will start to lose its intensity as it pushes to the north. Heavy rainfall, steady rainfall ongoing throughout Fond du Lac County, especially as you get over towards the Ripon area and then into Green Lake. We're seeing a little bit more of that heavy rainfall, but starting to see a lot of these storms lose their steam. And if we do see the storm to the north drop that tornado warning, we'll go ahead and get you back into programming, as it did. Circulation definitely, at least the last few scans we were looking at it, looks like it is starting to kind of fall apart or fizzle just a little bit. Still some heavy rainfall in the mix here. Let's go ahead and check that velocity product once again, and that's a good sign that what we're seeing right now, it looks like things are starting to dissipate with that storm. A couple minutes ago, there was still a pretty well-defined circulation on it. Let me see if I can back the map up here just a little bit. Well, and so it's, let's see, we're at 6:20. So this was at 6:24. So, 10 minutes ago, we were still seeing that circulation holding together. There was one of the looser times. Here was one of the times where it was a little bit more well-defined, where you see some brighter reds in there. So we've seen this cycle and go, in and out of being intense and not so intense. But now that circulation has really just started to lose its definition altogether. So a very good sign here as this storm continues to push into parts. the core of it is still in Oconto County, but we're starting to see it move into Marinette County, and with time, obviously, that is where it's going to be tracking. But we're starting to lose the circulation on it. Looks much less defined even on the reflectivity product here. So I suspect that we will have that warning dropped here within the. I think it was originally issued until 7. But I can't see it surviving much longer with the storm getting towards the edge of that. Let me just check real quickly into the chat here and see if there's any indication which way we're going. Tornado warning canceled. Okay, so yep, I went ahead and looks like we have dropped it. I just heard from my producer some major damage outside of our area west of here, Buffalo County. All right, well, for the time being, things are starting to quiet down here. We have seen now our tornado warning drop. That storm, as we talked about, was losing its definition. We'll go ahead and zoom out just a touch to look to the south. There are 2 areas of concern here before we go. We'll shift this coverage back over to digital, so you'll be able to catch us continuing this on our Facebook and YouTube pages, First Alert weather apps. You'll have a link to this coverage in there, our CTV apps as well, and we'll keep this going on our Weather Channel. You can find that on the website. You can also stream this on our website, WBAY.com/livestream. But if you prefer to watch us traditionally on the air, we do have this coverage simulcast on our First Alert 24/7 Weather Channel. That's 2.2. So we're going to go ahead and we'll shift the coverage there as things are starting to quiet down in eastern Wisconsin. Looks like we have lucked out on this one around our major population areas, Oshkosh, Green Bay, Appleton. Garden variety rain showers coming through. You might hear a few rumbles of thunder, but at this point, severe threat has greatly diminished. We'll keep an eye on this little cluster of storms coming out of Marathon County. That, as it starts to get into Portage County, perhaps holds together Shawano and Waupaca counties. That will bear watching. Unfortunately, some very heavy rainfall with that. We do not need that going into Waupaca County, where we have some very significant flooding ongoing. And then we'll keep an eye on the storms that are coming from the south. Perhaps another severe thunderstorm warning goes into to Sheboygan County, but it looks like the tornado threat is starting to wane considerably. So with that, we'll go ahead and get you back into programming. We will continue this coverage on our digital platforms, and of course we will be back on if we see any tornadoes start to spin up or any circulation that would warrant that. We'll be the first to alert you to any changing weather conditions, but things are looking much quieter now, and hopefully that will continue. But again, we'll be right here just in case things start to re-intensify. Yes.
little bit. Well, actually, hang on. We'll have to step off screen to kind of push this back over. See, I'm away from the Baron Lynx computer, which drives that graphic, and I can't see the second screen on it. So we'll just shift this back over to the actual radar. There we go. And we're back in business. Now we have the radar back, and now I am back. And we are going to be looking at some stronger storms making their way across I-39 and parts of Wausau. Don't you just like the little bits of live streaming? Over toward the Stevens Point area in Weston, we're picking up some small to actually some pretty decent sized hail at times. And excuse me, kind of have to battle some allergies too. It's been warming up and it is allergy season, so I apologize for having to clear my throat a lot. Over in Wausau and Wittenberg, we saw those storms earlier producing the tornado warnings. Now you're picking up some more heavy rainfall. That is going to result in likely some more flooding overnight tonight in some of these areas. And we're taking a look at this flash flood warning. Well, it's showing the tornado watch on here, but you see this green outline. That is where we have a flash flood warning. Out over toward the Marshfield area, a little bit outside of our coverage area, but it is a sign of what's possibly going to be coming up, through the later hours tonight. Over toward the Shawano area, Green Bay, Sturgeon Bay, you're actually in pretty decent shape right now. We're looking at some showers moving over to downtown areas, and even during the on-air portion, I caught the sky cam, and we even saw a couple of flashes of lightning in a few of these areas. So the thought that I had earlier that these storms off to the south are really going to build a wall around any unstable air getting to us this afternoon seems to have worked for the most part. We have had a few storms up in that enhanced area that had the warmer temperatures to work with, 60s and 70s, mind you. And the dew points have been quite a bit higher as well in these areas, upwards of 60 degrees, which is relatively humid for the early part of spring and the mid part of April. And over toward the Marinette area, Wasaki, Akano, Sturgeon Bay, picking up some light to moderate rainfall at the moment. If you're heading down toward the Appleton, Oshkosh communities, down toward Chilton, you're picking up again more moderate rainfall. And again, that's heading down I-41 and I-43. Sheboygan, still picking up a few of the heavier rain showers. And I'll go back through real fast. There is a flood watch through Saturday morning. Now you see that one bright green area, that is our flash flood warning, the only one in effect right now. But as we go through the night, I do suspect those are going to continue to increase. Our tornado watch, that continues until 8 o'clock. We have an hour and 10 minutes left to go on this tornado watch. And that continues on into the Green Bay area. It was extended northward up toward Antigo and Shawano. Now, we're also looking at this toward the Sheboygan area too. The severe weather outlook. That level 3 enhanced risk, Wausau to Wautoma, I do expect this to be chopped considerably in the next update. Storm Prediction Center tends to drop these considerably or chop them as it goes along the cold front. So the next outlook, actually we'll take a look to see if it's updated on their end. Yeah, sometimes it takes a second to import into our computer. It seems to have only really updated in Iowa, so it hasn't come through enough for us yet, and that was at the 2:53 discussion. So the next one is at 8 o'clock, right when the tornado watch expires, so there's going to be a lot of stuff coming up here at 8 o'clock tonight. The severe risks for overnight, we're again mainly looking at heavy rain and flooding, especially the Shiocton and New London communities that have had the record flooding. Unfortunately, I have had to see some of this myself before in Kentucky. We've had extensive flash floods, and the sandbagging efforts, I can understand where they're coming from with this. It's not easy to go through this, especially we went through a flood back in 2011 in Kentucky. And the Ohio River, it gets up to some way higher amounts, 54 feet in Smithland, where I actually lived. That's where it got up to, and we ended up having to build a big sand wall. It was kind of like a big sandbag, but it extended outward along a wall. We were one of the first communities, I think, to trial this, and it seemed to work for the most part. It was built on top of an earthen levee. It's part of the town, did get a little water in it, but luckily it did stay mostly out of town. Now back down toward Paducah and Cairo, that's where it was a little bit more intense. At Cairo especially, they had to blow a levee for that one. We're not going to see that level of flooding, but we will see some flash flooding later on tonight across some parts of those already flood-stricken communities, or even a little bit outward from them. So if you're in the low-lying areas, or if you're near any bodies of water that are already near to overflowing their banks, be sure that you're ready to go, just in case you are told to evacuate. Hail continues to be a small threat. We've actually seen that threat decreasing through the last couple of hours. Rain, cooled air will actually help kind of decrease that threat. And the tornado threat is beginning to diminish as well, slowly but surely. The last few hours, we've seen that rain begin to decrease. And we're looking at the Green Bay radar. You see that complex of showers and storms over toward the Stevens Point and Wausau area. And I want to just see real fast if we got the lightning. I want to see just how many strikes we've had just in this little particular band of storms. And 107 in the last, I think it's 15 minutes or 30 minutes on this one. I'm not sure exactly, but we are looking at a decent amount of strikes. Not as many as we've seen from the earlier storms tonight, which means they are starting to slightly weaken. Lightning is actually a pretty decent indicator. It's not 100%. Nothing in weather is 100% reliable or proof. But when you generally see the lightning amount start to decrease, that's when we're going to see the storms start to weaken. Generally speaking, we could still have some downpours even without the thunder. Some spring thunderstorms can turn just back into some light showers through most of it. But that lightning is going to be prolific at times, pretty loud thunder. And we'll zoom this back out a little bit more, showing that we have that severe thunderstorm warning. Well, this thing tends to get finicky when it's in play, quote unquote, and we have that severe thunderstorm warning in the Sheboygan area. And now that's moving out toward the lakeshore, moving northeast at 30 miles per hour with the hazard of penny-sized hail. So that's not going to be too much of a threat, but we are just watching one other storm back to the southwest. That is mainly for Dane, Jefferson, and Dodge counties, well southwest of us. In fact, that's down toward the Oconomowoc and Milwaukee areas. I hope I said that first one right. Someone please correct me or message me the correct pronunciation if I've massacred that one or butchered it. Milwaukee, we're still seeing a few light showers there. And just northwest of US 18, that tornado warning. Still not likely to get up toward the West Bend area, but we'll keep an eye just in case it does get kind of close to our region. Moving back closer to home, we are still watching some light to moderate showers. Still some thunderstorms back toward the Wausau area, Interstate 39. Wittenberg, you've just been hammered with some heavy rain on and off throughout the evening. I'll have to step off screen to bring this up because it's a different radar product. I can only access the one screen here at a time. Just to show you the rainfall totals that we have seen just from this set of storms. I'm going to back this out. What we're going to do is we're going to sample this set of rainfall totals. I'm going to probably have to disappear one more time to reset this back to radar just to give you an idea of what this looks like. But we'll back this up to the First Alert ViperMax radar, and you see where the heaviest rainfall has happened. You can actually see the flash flood warnings kind of lining up perfectly with it. And we'll make sure we've got the mouse back onto the other computer. Actually, let's hope it is, because it is still maintaining a weak connection from here. There it is. It just got back onto it. far away from the central computer it's working from. But you see down toward the Antigo area, Wausau, Weston, Highway 45, near the Neopet area, you're seeing some fairly decent rainfall totals here, which we have not needed. So we'll take some samples southeast of Antigo, nearly 2 inches of rainfall. Antigo in town, 1.3 inches. Mosinee, just to the west of town, I'm going to sample the orange here, 2.2 inches. And we'll get up to Wausau. Let's take one from downtown, 1.7 inches there. And in Wittenberg, this amount is only going to probably go higher, as well as some of these other areas getting affected again. Wittenberg is now just crossing the 1 inch point with that rain currently going. Zooming back out, we'll go a little bit further southwest. You see more of these 1.5, 2 inch totals near the Marshfield area. Further eastward, over towards Shawano, 0.17 inches. And in the areas that really do not need it, Wapaka thankfully is not picking up a lot at the moment at just 7/100ths. I want to flip this back over to the reflectivity, and I'll show you exactly that the heaviest rainfall has now moved out of the flash flood warning area. That's the good thing to see. But what we are not going to be really wanting to see is that heavy rainfall continues south and eastward. We really do not want Wapaka or New London to be impacted by any of this rainfall because of the fact that they've been impacted the most over the last couple of weeks from the past rainfall events we've had. They've had historic flooding, and now they are at record highs for this time of, in fact, ever since they started recording back in the 70s. I think it was, 79? I remember hearing it early this morning. I caught the newscast this morning. I think it was New London was 79. I think it was correct. I can't remember off the top of my head, and I don't have the records right here. But, and yes, unfortunately, yes, vitamin water, one of my favorites. I'll have to have this from time to time. But now we're back to business with more of the stronger storms near the Wausau area. And yes, this is kind of the more relaxed me that you're seeing. We're still looking at a severe storm actually up toward the Rhinelander area. My goodness, that one's actually putting down some pretty decent hail from the way this looks up toward US 51. And let's go ahead and let's go ahead and look at this severe warning on the National Weather Service site. This severe thunderstorm warning will continue until 7:30 this evening, moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. And yes, what you are seeing is true to the radar. Excuse me. Actually starting to lose my voice a little bit on this here. That is moving northeast at 50 miles per hour with 60 mile an hour wind gusts and up to quarter size hail. So there is the chance, if your car is unprotected outside northwest of Rhinelander, if you are seeing us from there, if you know someone from around there, give them a call, send them a text message, do whatever you have to, spam them. I don't care what you have to do to tell them to get their car inside or covered, because if you're near the Hazelhurst area, or if you know someone up toward the Minocqua, Woodruff, it's a little bit more rural out toward this area. It's like Lake Tomahawk, Eagle River. So generally more rural areas here. But still, you want to, if you know anyone out here, you want to just let them know where that's going. I'll put a track on it, just in case you do know anyone. It is going to be heading up toward the Upper Peninsula border at 50 miles per hour. So this is moving pretty fast. I'll track this from the hail core, the darkest portion that you see there. That's going to be heading up toward US 2, Minocqua at 7:13, Woodruff 7:15, and Arbor Vitae, it's 7:18, and Three Lakes at 7:36. That is currently the only severe thunderstorm warning in our region. It's up toward the southeastern part of Forest County, up toward. Well, actually, excuse me. It is up toward well northwest of the Florence County area. That's going to continue to move off toward the UP and weaken in more stable air. So we'll now push back toward Green Bay, toward Sheboygan, still picking up that heavier rainfall in Sheboygan with that severe thunderstorm warning. Up to penny-sized hail was reported in the Sheboygan storm. And as I mentioned earlier, we are now under an hour from the tornado watch from expiring across northeast Wisconsin. I'll stay with you until the watch has been allowed to expire entirely or is canceled early. And we are currently working on getting some reports out of the Marathon County area. There's been considerable damage. We've had some photos come in, and we'll be able to get those together before Action 2 News at 10. But there is, from the photos that we have received, considerable damage to a house's roof. It's been completely taken off, and the walls have been pushed inward on a couple of structures. So there has been some pretty significant wind to come through that area related to a tornado, and we had seen it on the correlation coefficient. And I'll actually show you what that product does. It's going to look weird considering we're not tracking any tornado-warned storms right now. If I can get the mouse to work with me again back up here. Now you see a lot of pink and magenta colors. That's normal rainfall. Now, if we were to have reversed this, unfortunately I can't do it on this screen, but if we were to reverse this about 2 hours on that storm that hit Marathon County, you would have noticed a greenish ball that kind of in this blue, in the debris tracker legend, we're under the time. Whereas possible debris, it would have been showing up more of this bluish to greenish color. It was showing more greens. It was lighter debris, but it's still, that's enough to be shingles, trees, parts of roofs that we were seeing, the roof trusses, wood. It could be anything not related to weather, not meteorological. That would be not rain. Hail would show up more of this yellowish orange color. It's like rain, but not entirely like rain. In fact, I think we're actually hearing a couple rumbles of thunder outside of the station right now. It's even with some light rain, you may hear a couple of rumbles of thunder. Down toward the Sheboygan area, we're starting to pick up some more of those showers, thunderstorms making their way out toward the lakeshore area. We'll move back up one more time to the Wittenberg area. Now, you're not in the flash flood warning, but with the rain that's starting to move through that area, if you're in the Bevent area, southeast of Ringel, near, I can't tell if that is that Norfee or Norley? I can't tell from the rain hitting, reflecting off there. I think it's Norrie. And that's going to be moving toward Tigerton, Almond, Gresham, and Pella. That's going to be over the next hour or so. These have been fairly slow-moving storms, only to around at 20 to 30 miles per hour for most of them. Aside from those northernmost storms, they've been moving closer to around 50 miles per hour. So we'll bring back up that tornado watch across parts of northeast Wisconsin. It was considerably more south earlier, but it was expanded because of the tornado warnings occurring well north of that watch area. Wausau, Antigo, Shawano, you're still included until 8 o'clock tonight. But I think we're starting to see some of the top northwestern parts. Perhaps, I don't know if they've been shaved off yet, but as we get deeper into this, we'll probably start seeing some counties west to east be taken out of this current tornado watch. Level 3 enhanced risk also continues on. However, I bet you this will be heavily shaved or completely eliminated by the late update tonight. That continues for the Wautoma and Wausau areas. We saw that earlier with the strong storm producing what is likely some considerable to strong damage over in the Marathon County area. Our risks tonight will be mainly heavy rainfall and flash flooding. We've already had very saturated ground. That is also going to aid in uprooting trees with the high wind risk. That's at 30 to 40 miles per hour. Normally, as David mentioned earlier, it would take 60 to 70 to bring some of these larger trees down, but This time around, the water has saturated the ground so much and has even pooled around them in some cases, flowing near them. It's assisting in pushing them over. And I even took a drive last evening to see what these more flooded areas were like now that the water's receded. And some of the areas that were more rural that had the trees kind of off to the side, I had seen several rows pushed over almost like dominoes, or at least it was more or less, worked over a bit more by something. That's some pretty powerful forces just from water that, when I went through there, looked fairly calm. It was just sitting there other than going by the rivers, which were still draining at some incredible pace. I've never seen a river raging like that before. Tornadoes, we're up to some moderate risk still. However, with the lining out of this system, that risk is going to start decreasing. So this is good to see that the storms are beginning to line out. They're losing their energy. They're zapping the rest of it out. And over the last few hours, I'm actually going to take this back now to the last 6 hours. So ignore what it says up here. For the time being, I'm taking this back. Over the last 6 hours, those storms really just blew up over the very western part of our area, moving into Wausau and all merging together. With that happening and cooling the air behind it, it's generally zapped all the energy out of the atmosphere that it can. It doesn't have much more to work with at this point. And we'll jump now into the first alert pinpoint predictor. Now, this data is from this afternoon at around 4 o'clock, so we're going to get this through to around 7:30 to 8 o'clock. This model run is doing a fairly good job at putting that rain band over Lake Michigan, a little bit weaker at that point. And then the tornado watch will be expired by 8 o'clock tonight. So we have 51 minutes to go on that. Winds overnight tonight are going to start shifting from the south back to the north. Excuse me. We're going to see more gusty winds Saturday morning by the afternoon hours, still up to 30 miles per hour at times. Now, I want to bring up this possibility at times. It's going to be feeling quite a bit cooler. High temperatures are only going to be in the 40s and 50s for tomorrow. That cold front is going to have a small effect for a few days, but we'll be back to some better temperatures later. As we go through the overnight hours tonight into early Sunday morning, I want to point out that this is just a model run. Sunday morning, give it a second. Sunday morning, this model run tries to put down a few snow flurries. We'll be seeing the rainfall totals from this event, and as I mentioned, Wapaka does not need any more rain. This model run through this whole event tries to put down another inch of rainfall for you there. So it has just been round after round of rain. But I am glad to say that this is the last round, at least for the next several days. We're now looking at the first alert Super 7-day forecast. Fortunately, we didn't get to see this in our 5 and 6 o'clock shows, as we've had that severe weather going almost nonstop this evening from that one storm moving through Marathon County, up through Wausau, and up into the Northwoods. This weekend is going to be cool, back into the 40s for high temperatures, 50 for Monday. We're in the mid-60s for Tuesday. And then by Thursday and Friday, the breeze is going to pick back up again, up to 25 miles per hour. And lows will be back into the 40s and 50s, which is an increase in moisture again. We've seen that the last couple of systems now. That is also going to drive some more rain chances. Now, currently, these are not looking severe. This is going to be more of those typical run-of-the-mill afternoon showers and maybe a couple rumbles of thunder. But it will be warmer, back in the mid to upper 60s. And then by Saturday, I'm actually looking now at what's called the MBM, the blend of models. This is if I want to look out past Friday to see if there's any major cold fronts on the way. It looks like by the end of Saturday of next week, so not this Saturday, but the Saturday after that, there is a chance we may see another cool down on the way, more rain showers, and these will be associated with another cold front on the way. So we'll watch potentially for some more thunderstorms with that moving through, as those temperatures do look warm. Just not as much moisture to work with on this go around. We'll go ahead and go back over this tornado watch one more time. We'll take about a 5 to 10 minute break, kind of regather everything. And we have that tornado watch, as I mentioned, till 8 o'clock tonight. And that severe thunderstorm watch was extended as well over to parts of the Northwoods, and we will get that expiration time as well. That expires also at 8 o'clock, so all of these severe alerts will expire in just over 45 minutes from now. And we'll take a break here real fast, and we will be back in just a couple of minutes with a look at the overnight hours tonight and through the next couple of days. All right, we'll jump back on here one more time, and we are looking ahead in the tornado watch, and you see until 8 o'clock, we still have the Green Bay National Weather Service office they're probably going to let this one run out naturally. We're still getting reports off the printer as we speak, but the Milwaukee Weather Service office has allowed their tornado watch to, actually they've canceled theirs out. So over in Fond du Lac to Sheboygan, you're now out of the tornado watch. And let's see if Green Bay has updated any wording on theirs. Looks like no, they've not updated anything since 4:50. So it looks like they are just going to let this thing ride out, as well as that severe thunderstorm watch. And let's take a look at the pinpoint predictor one more time. We'll go through the overnight hours with a couple of more showers, perhaps a few thunderstorms. Most of Saturday is going to be fairly quiet. It's going to be breezy, up to 30 miles per hour. By early Saturday, late Saturday evening and into early Sunday morning, this model run has been hinting at snow flurry chances. However, I think these are going to be a bit lower than what we expect. Temperatures maybe in the 20s, but the wind gusts you see up to around 15, 20 miles per hour. I just don't think it may be enough. Rainfall totals after this entire event is over with. In fact, a few of us just west are starting to see the end of these showers. While PACA may pick up an additional inch that they do not need. In fact, a lot of us don't even need this extra rain, especially in the Fox Valley. We're seeing 3/4 inch totals up to 1 inch in some areas. Sheboygan down to a half inch additional. Green Bay 3/10, and Antigo a half inch as well. For tonight, those strong storms are starting to wane, and we will see temperatures decrease to the 20s up north and 30s across the rest of the Fox Valley. Tomorrow is cooler and calmer, breezy again, 10 to 20 mile an hour winds, over that at times up to 30 miles per hour. 30s up north, 40s in Green Bay, down to the Fox cities. In the lakeshore areas, 44 degrees. Well, now look at the First Alert Super 7-day forecast, which I can gladly say is much calmer. We're back into a quiet pattern, cooler this weekend, so bundle up a little bit more. Mid-40s for highs, 30 Saturday night, 26 on Sunday night. And then for Monday, we're up to 50 degrees, warming right back up to the 60s Tuesday and Wednesday with winds out of the south. By Thursday, the breeze is going to pick up, wind gusts up to around 25 miles per hour at times, along with Friday, with more chances of rain showers. So this will give the ground ample time to dry up and soak in all of that rainfall, which would be good if it came down in sporadic amounts, but not all at one time. In fact, the river flooding, we are seeing some updated totals. There is a new crest expected at, I think it's Shiocton. Yes, Shiocton, they're at 15.0 right now, and that's actually as of the 5:50 observation. But after this rain, the new crest on the National Weather Service site is forecast to be up to 15.2 feet, which the record is from 14.1. As we look at the other gauge, New London, that new crest, actually right now, as of the 6:30 reading, it's 12.0 feet there. And it appears to be kind of leveling off there. So looks like the amounts have not changed for New London, but Shiocton is up 0.2 for the new crest expected, but that will level off over the coming days with the quieter conditions. So we're going to see some cooler conditions this weekend as a result of that cold front blowing through the area, and that's given us the showers and thunderstorms overnight tonight. And we'll get one more look, or we'll look at it from this angle in the First Alert ViperMax radar. We still have those showers and thunderstorms further south, but if you go up north, in fact, I'm going to have to get up and go move that radar again myself. You see the tornado watch has been dropped further south, and as we move up toward northeast Wisconsin, you see, in fact, here we go, I'll just come back right in, and you see that tornado watch is likely going to expire naturally in 20 minutes the further north. up toward Green Bay, Oshkosh, Wautoma. There's still some showers and storms over in that flash flooding area in Wausau and Antigo. They've picked up over 2 inches of rain in some areas from these storms moving through tonight, and that's going to translate into some more water going into the area rivers. We'll watch these carefully and we'll first alert you to any changes, but we will sign off as this tornado watch is likely going to be allowed to expire naturally. The bulk of the severe weather has moved out of the area, and we are just now watching for some more showers and storms, mostly up north, that will fizzle out and give the last of the rain showers to hopefully let the ground dry up. Right, that is going to be it for tonight, and we will see you back here at Action 2 News at 10 with meteorologist David Ernst. He's just come in right behind me. He's going to start working on some graphics, waving behind me too, fourth wall break. And he will be updating you for a rather quiet week ahead of us, but a variety of temperatures from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. All right, we'll see you at 10 o'clock tonight.